Tag TV, and Tag Radio. Technology now has a voice of innovation and information. Get it on www.tagtvonline.com. Remember when things started to get dynamic? Soon they became fluid, or was it dynamic fluidity? Seems like only yesterday when traditional broadcast media went cable and we were all trying to navigate the internet to cross a paradigm shift. Innovation went on overdrive and things started to hybrid, and that made everything start growing exponentially. Tall tales transformed into long tales that soon took us all the way past YouTube into social networks, virtual worlds, and now mass collaboration. So, here we are. Or, where are we? The promise of hyperconnectivity and ubiquitous computing technology now has us all talking about something called convergence. Greetings, everyone. It's Tuesday, April 29th, 2008, and this is Tech Talk with Technology Association of Georgia President Tino Mantella. Convergence. Multiple products forming into one with the advantage of all of the individual components. Or maybe the sudden disappearance of entry barriers across IT, telecom, media, and consumer electronic industries, creating one mega converged industry. Confused? Well, wait. Tino's guest on today's Tech Talk tells us that all indications are that convergence is, well, already dead. Meet Alan Weiner, Managing Vice President, Global Media at Gartner, the world's leading information technology research and advisory company with 60,000 clients and 10,000 distinct organizations. Alan is one of the firm's top analysts and has served as chief analyst and architect of Gartner's DataQuest Internet, e-commerce, and e-media, prior to his current position as managing vice president of its global media operations. Visionary entrepreneur and global executive, Alan's a worldwide speaker at both company and top industry events, including keynotes at Internet World. Among the industry's most quoted analysts, he has appeared regularly on CNN, CNN-FN, and CNBC. From visionary startup entrepreneur that pioneered new market niches to the first major daily newspaper site on the web, top industry exec to world-leading advisor on future trends, analyst, writer, editor, publisher, broadcaster, and global media futurist, Tino goes beyond convergence to what's next as we go direct to the West Coast headquarters of consulting giant Gartner to Tech Talk with Alan Weiner.
Alan, thank you for joining me on Tech Talk.
My pleasure.
Let's just jump right in. Frank did a nice job of introducing convergence, but I'd like to hear in your words how you define convergence for our listening audience.
Well, the definition of convergence has certainly evolved. It's been a topic that's been around since the 80s, and the problem with convergence is everybody kind of affixed his or her own meaning to what that meant. It could mean, converging media with a device. It could mean converging various forms of media together. It was essentially, whatever was appropriate for a particular situation. And I think that was pretty much what led to the downfall of what I would call Convergence 1.0. And I think what we've been in search of is a new definition of convergence. So my theory is that convergence, the old last century convergence, is dead, and we're essentially facing a new theme or new theory of what convergence is all about.
So you're saying convergence is dead. I mean, what do you mean by that? There's lots of folks that are focusing in on this, and there's a lot of buzz around certainly around the word, but I tend to agree there's a lot of confusion as well.
I think that the notion of media converging with telecom, with various forms of media converging with one another, don't take into account some of the practical realities of the marketplace. Number one, when you look at media and you look at telecom, you look at companies that are going in different directions without any kind of harmony. And to date, there's really been very few instances or examples of the two of them working together successfully. And I think in any kind of future convergence scenario, you need to include one in which the companies really understand their role, their place in the space, and work to that together. What makes things even more challenging is if you kind of separate media here and telecom over there, media is not, one thing. Media is multiple things, and we're witnessing a battle within media where you're seeing incumbent media companies like newspapers, magazines, book publishers, and the like battling with digital media companies like Google and Yahoo. So this is, there's no fluidity here, which is why I suggest that convergence needs to be viewed from almost a totally different direction, that actually from the venue or the viewpoint of the consumer.
Can you give us an example of what's happening now, an experience that you've seen in terms of convergence? I mean, something that's the right convergence that you see. I mean, because it does look like there's lots of people talking about it, but there's a divergence in some way, some of the media and telecom. So what do you see as a good example?
Well, if you take, my theory that we're moving from this, general chaos of convergence to something that I label converged experiences, and that is layering of various elements together, a telecom base, an information base, a rich media base, then you have something kind of interesting. So I'll give you an example. On the web today, there is a site called livenewscameras.com. And it's a pretty good example of what I call converged experience. And what a consumer can do is go to the space, and you will see basically all of the live feeds online of all of the local Fox affiliates from around the country. And up in the right corner, you will see essentially an editor who is talking to you live about what's going on in the news. And you have the ability to not only communicate with that editor, but with other people online. So when I say converged experience, you have this interaction with these live news feeds. You have essentially a communications interaction with other people, and then you have this editorial layer. So it's essentially taking these various attributes and putting them together almost like you're a chemist, a mad scientist, putting them together in the right combination to create powerful and engaging experiences.
What are the first media segments that are going to be benefiting from this converged experience?
Well, two obvious ones. One is broadcasting. So broadcasters today are looking at how they can take elements of interaction and incorporate them with live broadcasting. Juiced is a really good example. Juiced is an online, essentially TV service, or we call it TV service provider, and they provide the ability for people to watch shows together and to communicate. There's another company called AirPlay. AirPlay allows people to actually watch game shows or sporting events together and to kind of, communicate and predict what next plays are going to happen. So broadcasting is one. The other one to me is newspapers. We're doing quite a bit of research on what the future of the news publishing business is.
Right.
But I think the further newspapers get away from being newspapers, the better off they are. And we're seeing a number of newspapers taking advantage of technology to create these converged experiences that allow reporters to communicate with readers, to be able to present news in new ways, such as live video. So these are two industries that I believe are going to benefit the most that I see entering this space pretty quickly.
Well, I think we've piqued the audience interest, and hopefully they will come to our MIT EF TAG Convergence Forum that's going to be held May 7th at the Intercontinental Hotel. Alan Weiner is going to be one of our featured speakers. Alan, thanks for joining me today, and I look forward to seeing you on May 7th.
My pleasure.